let's. I want to look at a passage real quick with you, and if you would go to your Bible and go to Hosea chapter 11.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
there.
I want you to read a passage with me. Hosea chapter 11 verse 1 says, "When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. The more that I called them, the more that they went from me, and they kept sacrificing to the Baals and offering incense to idols."
I'm
Just
sorry. What verse did you start at?
yeah, Hosea chapter 11 verses 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead and read it for me.
So
It,
when
it,
Israel was a young nation, I loved them. I chose to bring my son out of Egypt, but the more called out to Israel, the more they went away from me. They bought sacrifices to the statues of gods that were named Baal, and they burned incense to them.
gotcha. Okay. So in the passage that we just read, is there a prophecy?
I mean, I don't believe so.
Right. Because it's just a historical narrative, right? It says, when Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called
And
my son.
this
And
was
then it
claimed to be a prophecy somewhere.
no, I'm just asking you, in this text, does it look like a prophecy? It looks like a
No,
historical
not at all.
narrative.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
100%.
I agree with you. I think that's one thing that you and I agree on. The problem is that if I go to Matthew chapter 2, Matthew says it's a prophecy. Let's go to Matthew chapter 2, verses 14. Actually, 15. It says, well, we'll start in 14. Then Joseph got up and took the child and his mother by night and went to Egypt. And he remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what was spoken by the Lord through the prophet, out of Egypt I have called my son. Is is Matthew right or wrong here?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he's right. I think
But
the two
you
could
just
live hand in
but you
hand.
just said
You
a
know?
moment ago that there's no prophecy in Hosea.
Yeah, I don't believe so. Yeah.
Right. So then how did Jesus fulfill a prophecy in Isaiah that doesn't exist?
S- I don't want to like keep repeating the same thing. I think you know what I would say to that.
I
Um,
suspect your answer is some nonsense about typology.
no, no, no.
All right. So you told me that there's no prophecy in Hosea 11:1. So I guess I'm trying to figure out where the prophecy is that he fulfilled.
Yeah, you're stating it as Hosea chapter 11. That's a prophecy. We both disagreed that that was a prophecy.
Right, right. We both agree that there's no prophecy in Hosea 11 verses 1 and 2.
Right.
All right. So what did Jesus fulfill? Or what did Jesus' parents fulfill?
What did Jesus's parents fulfill?
Yeah. Because the prophecy in Matthew says that they fulfilled the words of the Lord spoken through the prophet, out of Egypt I have called my son. If that's not referring to Hosea chapter 11, what's it referring to?
I mean, yes, it could still be referred to Hosea chapter 11. Um,
Right, but there's no prophecy there. So how they fulfill something that doesn't exist?
all right, so yeah, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of things in the Old Testament that foreshadow things in the New Testament. Um,
Right, but I'm not talking about
whether that,
foreshadowings. I'm talking
yeah,
about prophecies.
right.
Okay, so no prophecy was fulfilled here.
I
So,
mean,
so
possibly.
here's my problem with
I, st- I, st-
foreshadowings.
I still, yeah, before then, I still believe both could go in hand. That uh, Hosea chapter 11, that not being a prophecy, um, yeah, a prophecy being fulfilled in Matthew chapter 2.
So it's a prophecy, but it's not a prophecy?
There could be a prophecy there. I don't know if Hosea chapter 2:11 is the
Joe,
reference. I could be wrong.
Jojo, that is the reference. That's the quotation. Go to any study Bible, and that'll be your cross reference. That's the
Okay.
the only spot in the Old Testament where this line comes up. But let me tell you real quick my problem with typologies or pattern fulfillments. I can find
Right.
any pattern I want to and call it a prophecy. For example, God says over and over again that you need to attack towns if they refuse to submit themselves to Yahweh, and that you need to unalive every man, woman, and children, but you can keep the virgins for yourself. Is that a prophecy?
No.
Right. Okay. So a prophecy is not just a pattern that we see in the Old Testament. A prophecy is when God says something's going to happen and then it happens.
Right.
Right. Okay. So you and I both agree there's no prophecy in Hosea 11 verses 1 and 2, which means there's no way that Joseph, Mary, and Jesus fulfilled the words of the prophet in Hosea 11.
Mm, yeah. I mean, without me repeating what I said before, I think that the two could kind of coexist. I mean, I could be wrong with Hosea being a prophecy or not.
It sounds to me like you know in your heart that there's no actual prophecy here. I mean, not to belabor the point, but initially, the reason why I had you read Hosea first is because I know deep down, any person who reads Hosea 11, 1 and 2 knows that there's no prophecy there.